Okay, so this is Algebra Review Day. We have a test on Tuesday and Wednesday, so today we're going to review. That's the reason I would really encourage you to come to class. Then you could ask questions and make sure you're understanding it before you took the test on Tuesday and Wednesday. The test on Tuesday is just like the quiz, so look that up, and I will put a blank copy out on Schoology. So this is what it looks like. Your quiz you took before spring break, so you can go out and look at that, and that is still posted, so you can go out and look at your quiz and see how you did, and any markings that I made on there to help you know how to do that. And if you want to pull it up, and that would be a good thing to ask. You could bring your quiz in with you to class on Thursday, have that available, then you could look at that. That might be helpful also. On Wednesday, the test is over factoring, so we're just going to do all of factoring. It wouldn't probably take both days, but remember, class in the building is only about 45 minutes long, so we want to make sure that you have enough time. So I'm just keeping it the same way for online students too. So one day will be about multiplying and terms, naming them. So this is the second page in your packet. I would go back and look at these again, and if you don't know where that is, you can just pause your screen and write these down. Now remember, these are the names. This is the degree, okay? You cannot name it by the degree. You must name it by linear, quadratic, cubic, constant, quartic, constant, or cubic, okay? And then you name it by terms. So you have two different ways you name it. By the degree is based off the exponent, and by the terms. 2 terms, 3 terms, 1 term, 2 terms, 1 term. 4 or more terms is going to be a polynomial. Now the other thing we're going to ask you to do on the test is we're going to say make up your own, and we're going to say it's going to be a quadratic binomial or a quadratic monomial, okay? So it would have to have a power of 2, and it would have to have however many terms that are here. So you're going to make up your own, put whatever numbers, variables you want, but you have to make sure that the degree matches what we asked for and the number of terms. So you get to make up your own. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so you'll also have a table just like the quiz, but we threw in one more question. You have lots of things that you could be using for review. Hopefully you've already worked on these and done these. The Algebra Polynomial Study Guide, I'll go through that in detail in just a second also, if you want to see how that is done. Actually, I might just give you some tips on that. The answer key is out there, so I don't need to do everything for you. Again, come to class. I'll go over any ones that you want to see, any questions that you have. The other thing that I would recommend that you look at is the Unit 5 Polynomial Review book. So I know we're not in Unit 5, we're in Unit 7. But the reason I'm bringing this up is there's a question in here that's not on this review guide, but will be one like it on the test, so I want you to be aware of it. So I want to point out that, and I'll even do it with you in just a second. So this says, apply your knowledge of polynomials. So let's just go ahead and do this now, and then I'll tell you some other information. So go to this packet. This was posted on Friday in Schoology. So if you want to know where I'm getting this problem, or you can just pause the video and look at it right now. It says the area is this. Remember, and if the dimensions of the rectangle are factors, could the rectangle be a square? Show your work to prove your answer. Okay, so first off, you need to remember that area is length times width, and you're going to be doing that both on the multiplication on Tuesday's test, but just like you did on the quiz, and then you'll also have this problem on Wednesday's test. Now what this is saying is that area is length times width. Well, if I would factor this out, I would have something where the area is equal to two things that are being multiplied. So if I take this area and I factor it, then these factors, one would be length, one would be width. So you're going to factor this right here, 25u squared plus 65u plus 36. Now, remember, when you have big numbers, you might want to first check to see if this is a perfect square trinomial, and we might be able to kind of use that. 25u squared is a perfect square. 36 is a perfect square. So that part fits, and this is a plus sign. So now I'm going to see if we get that middle term. So I take the square root of the first, 5u, times the square root of the last, 6 times 2. That gives me 60. I have 65. Can't use a shortcut. So that means I have to go back and I have to make my x. Up at the top of my x is 25 times 36. So this is good. We can review at the same time. That's 900. What goes at the bottom? 65. So this is just reviewing factoring. So now we have to find the factors of 900 that add to 65. We're not going to list all of them. We're going to play with them. Well, we already have one pair. That's 25 and 36. The top number is positive, so my signs are the same. They're both the same as B, so that means everything's positive. When I add 25 and 36, I get 61. Okay, so not far off. So that means we're going to try something either above or below it. Okay, so you might try 30, might try 20, might try 15. I'm going to try 20. So I'm going to take 900, divide it by 20, and I get 45. When I add those, yes, woohoo! Lucky day for me, because look at that. I found that on the second one. So again, what you do is you play with it. If that didn't work, you would try some other pairs. You have a calculator, people. Use it, okay? So the pair that I want is 20 and 45. So now I'm going to write this in expanded form. So I have 25 u squared plus 65u plus 36. And I'm going to factor that. Wait, hello. I have to write that out with that middle term expanded. And in the high school, they call this splitting the middle. We're doing the same thing. We call it AC method. They call it splitting the middle, but it's the same thing. Okay, so I write that middle term in expanded form. Now we're going to factor by grouping. Take the greatest common factor out of the first two. I have 5u. That gives me 5u plus 4. Greatest common factor here is 9. That gives me 5u plus 4. So I get 5u plus 4 times 5u plus 9. So those are my two factors of this. So my area is equal to that. I'm going to multiply. One of them is the length and one of them is the width. So what the question asks is, could this rectangle be a square? Now keep in mind what a square is. A square has all the sides are the same length. All of those sides are the same length. Are these two the same? No. One of them is 5u plus 4, one of them is 5u plus 9, but they're not the same. So this is not a square. It is a rectangle. Okay. Now, it might not be exactly like this on the test, but this just shows you if I know the area, I'm going to have to factor in order to get the sides of the rectangle or the square or whatever else I'm talking about. Okay. Now, the other thing in this packet that I want to point out to you is they make these claims. In this packet, it makes these claims. You should remember to factor without showing work. Oh my gosh, no. What this is telling you is you could use shortcuts here. That's fine. I have no problem with shortcuts, but you can also just show your work. If it's 3 terms, you can make your x, list your factors, go forward like that. There was one other place where it does it, and that's where it's the 2 terms. Okay. Also here, multiplying special cases, show your work. Okay. And if you're going to, so this you're just going to multiply out. You can do the shortcut or not. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Here, perfect squares. Here's the thing I want to remind you. When you have something that's a quantity square, make sure you write it. Either do the shortcut. Be very careful with that. Some of you messed that up on the quiz. Not a big deal if you did. But at this point, then don't use the shortcut. Just write it out twice. Multiply using distributing twice. Okay? So you do not have to use shortcuts any place on this test. There's one other place that it mentions it. It's where there's 2 terms. I'll find it in just a second. There it is. So if I have 2 terms, I can use a shortcut, or remember I can use an x, but b would be 0. Okay, b would be 0. The shortcut on this one's not too bad. I like it, but you could always go back to the surefire method using the x. We're going to factor by grouping. It's called AC method is what it's actually called. So keep that in mind. Okay? So a couple pointers I want to give you on the study guide. And again, the answer is out in the Unit 7 homework, that green folder out on Schoology. That's where all these answers are. So on these, I'm not going to answer them for you. Try these if you haven't already. Answer by degree. So if it's by degree, remember, it's going to be a constant that has a power of 0. It's linear if it's a power of 1. It's a quadratic if it's a power of 2. Okay, spelling does not count if you're worried about that. You phonetically spell it, I'll be able to figure it out. That's power of 3. Power of 3 is a cubic. Sorry. This is power of 2. And power of 4 is a quartic. And that's all the higher we'll go. To tell you the truth, I'm guessing we probably won't go beyond a cubic. Okay. Then you have to name it by the number of terms. 1 term is a monomial. 2 terms is a binomial. Okay. 3 terms, trinomial. Blah, blah, blah. And then after that, everything else is a polynomial. Okay, we don't have a name for it after it has 3 terms. So it's monomial, binomial, trinomial. Try those. Add and subtract polynomials. What you want to remember on this is you're just going to combine like terms. If I have addition, just combine like terms and do it carefully. It's when you get to subtraction that you want to be very careful. My recommendation, the way I do it, is when I have subtraction, I change it to addition and everything that follows to its opposite. So I had a positive, it became a negative. I had a minus, so that means I had a negative, it becomes a positive. Now I just combine like terms, just like I did for addition. Okay, so keep that in mind. Here we're going to multiply polynomials. Sometimes all we're going to do is we're going to distribute. Sometimes we're going to distribute twice, or you can use what's called FOIL. It's going to be the same thing. Here, binomial times a trinomial, I'm still going to distribute twice, but I'm going to have to do it with 3 terms. Here, my one recommendation here is if you don't know the shortcut, don't memorize it now, because that's going to throw you off. So write it out twice and do the same way as you did this up here. This one's already set up. Just multiply it twice. Rectangle has these dimensions. Find the area as a product and then in standard form. And go ahead and check those. And hopefully you'll do that before class tomorrow so you can come in and ask questions. On the next page, you're going to factor. This is where you're going to make an x. If I have 3 terms, I'm going to make an x. If I have 4 terms, I'm going to factor by grouping. And that's what you've been doing with when we write it in expanded form. We have 4 terms, we're going to factor by grouping. If I have 2 terms, I'm going to either remember, just like I said in that last packet, that b is 0, or I'm going to use a shortcut. I can use a shortcut, and these happen to all be special cases. It will not be divided up like that on the test. On the test on Wednesday, you'll be multiplying 4 terms. You'll be factoring 4 terms, or just taking out a greatest common factor. You'll be factoring 3 terms. Some of them could, and 2 terms, and those could be special cases. So it'd be 3 terms and 2 terms. And then your last is factor completely, which pretty much means you're going to have a greatest common factor. Make sure you take it out. Okay, so that's what is on the test. Please make sure you're reviewing for it. Check your answers with all the reviews we have out there. And again, I would really encourage you to come to class so that you can feel like you can make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, great. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow in class. If not, the test will be on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I will post when those will be open. Since it won't take as long, I won't open them as early. If that's a problem for you, let me know. So I'll probably be opening them about 12:30. So then that gives you, well, probably not even that early. Probably about 1 o'clock. So that gives you until 2:30. Make sure you complete the entire test on Tuesday and get it submitted no later than, actually I probably have it, 2:30 because I have a meeting. Okay, so the times will be posted on Tuesday and Wednesdays when the tests open and when they need to be completed. Please do that. Please complete them. I really get tired of chasing people down to finish their tests. So make sure you do that. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you know where to find me.